Prepare yourselves for an epic showdown that's destined to shake the cosmos. Put on your sunglasses and get ready for Trishula to harness the power of the sun with his solar deck as he takes on Magnitude, the solar caster eager for redemption after a really tough performance in Season 1. Make sure you back Elestrals Clash on Kickstarter now, but without further ado, I get a feeling I'm gonna need some sunglasses for the heat that Trishula is about to bring. Trish, show us what you got.
Yo, what's up, guys? It is your boy Yapula TTV, aka Trish. We are back for season 3 of Elestriad. Very excited to be back. Shoutouts Dan, shoutouts to everybody who makes these Elestriads happen because they're very fun and I like playing in them. But we're back and we are doing the impossible. Did you guys know we are about to win Elestriad with Solar? Do you guys know that? Yeah, so if you guys don't know, I'm a big fan of the solar archetype, so I'm very, very glad that I was able to pick up Solar for Elestriad because I was very, very low down in pick order. So shout out to everybody else for letting me get to play my favorite spirit and represent Apollo. Go Team Apollo. Go Solar. A lot of people, they're out there, they're saying Solar is not a good deck. We're here to show them wrong. So let's get into the deck profile for week 1. We played 3 Astrabbit. If you watched last season, this is my mascot. I wouldn't be caught dead without this card. And then we also played my other mascot, the funny whale. We played three Galaxy as well. So we got the gang is all back together. If you watched last season of Elestriad, these were my favorite cards, and they're still with me. They're still with me. Best cards in the game. Let's go. So that's all for the non-solar. We just had to play the mascots in the deck. So for the solars though, we played 3 Lumaru, 2 Exaltus, 2 Corvishine, 2 Jatara, 2 Peegleam, and a Lustragon. And of course, because if you could not tell, I really like Solar. The whole deck is stellar. It's all stellar. We love our stellars. We play our 3 Apollo, 2 Temple, 3 Ambro, and then so you know that's all pretty straightforward. But for the interesting cards, we played 2 Cryoblast, 1 Laurels, 1 Earthquake. So these are our removal runes. Pretty strong. Cryoblast is something that I think has fallen a little bit out of favor in like general Elestrals constructed metagames, but Solar has an issue with the number 5. And did you know that Cryoblast beats most cards that have the number 5 printed on them? So I don't know what Magnitude's going to be playing, but I think I still want these cards in case he plays any cards with the number 5 on them. So we're running these just in case. I have a pretty good read that he's going to be on Draking. But speaking of Draking, we played 3 Shield of Achilles. This card's really good into Draking, just to put that Draking back in the hand. So if I have that read right, hopefully this inclusion makes sense. This is a good include. 3 Gorgon's Gaze, because why not? And then 2 Poison Tip Arrow and 2 Altar of the Stars to round out our counter rune lineup. No Tsunami, because I expect the Drakings to be coming down, so I expect them to have lots of water dudes, and Tsunami's not going to do anything against water dudes. For the side deck, we never had to go over side decks before last season of Elestriad, but now we do. So we're just going to go over this quickly. This is pretty close to a constructed side deck with some minor changes just because I know I'm playing against Lunar. So there's only a few decks that Magnitude can be bringing, so I've built my side deck to kind of counter as many of them as I can. 3 Boombat. I think that this is just always going to be in the side deck like every week until we explode. 2 Sorlet. In the webcam tourney, I main decked the Sorlets just because they're a 5 beater. But I've moved them to the side just because in case I'm playing against, I don't know, like Pharaohgeist or something, and he's just trying to put a lot of dudes on the board. I just want to have more dudes that I can play in my deck and beat over stuff. So these are in here in case I need a pivot post side. 2 Edward. This card's just really good when you go second. Good at like removing dudes. Also good if he's playing Draking, because then he's basically playing 5s. So we can play the Edwards. Shoutouts Eddie. Unfortunately, I could not find Stellar Edwards. That's kind of the biggest disappointment. this deck profile. Actually, I'll add the other biggest disappointment. I cited... Ooh, that's not it. I cited the other Lestragon as well. Unfortunately, I only have the one reverse stellar Lestragon, so this one's ugly. Hopefully, I don't have to, like, put this one on the field. Sorry, Lestragon. Love you. Mwah. But you're worse than your brother. But yeah, so the idea here is if he's playing a slower deck, we have the second Lestragon to match his pace. But I kind of expect him to be on Dragging on 5s or something, so we have more counter runes as well for if we have to go first, we can put in more counter runes. We have the Argos and the Poison Tip Arrow. Argo goes along with the Necklace of Harmonia. This one's kind of interesting because this normally isn't in my deck. Like, so hopefully this spice gets to get shown off. But you know, it's cool. So the idea here is that, you know, if he's playing Draking or something and I have like Exaltus out and he gets a Draking on the board, he swings at me and I just Argo into 8 attack Exaltus, and yeah, and then bye Draking. That's bye. So hopefully that comes up. The 1 Poison Tip Arrow and then 2 Tsunami, just in case he's, for some reason, I don't know, just playing like strictly Lunar 5s that just doesn't play any water dudes. I don't know why that would happen, but I had 2 slots, so I put them in. But yeah, that's the deck profile. Bye, Andrew. Love you. Kiss.
Trishula proving once again why 5s is such a good engine in Solar. I love the use of Exaltus to search out Galaxy and Lustragon to handle anything Magnitude might be trying to throw his way. Alright Magnitude, you're trying to bounce back with a renewed drive. Show us what you plan to cook with today.
Internet, good morning. My name is Magnitude. Welcome to the Elestriad Season 3. I don't think I've gotten a haircut since the first Elestriad Season 1, so that's the first thing I noticed, the first thing I wanted to bring up. If you remember me from the first season of the Elestriad, please don't. You don't need to do that. You can just forget what happened there. Focus on what we're doing now, and that is playing Trishula versus Solar in the first round. This is my Lunar deck profile. They told me to make it about 3 minutes, so it's either going to be a minute and a half or, you know, it's a feature-length film. I think one of the things that I think undoes me a lot in these kind of custom build, any sort of any sort of you know, create a build competitions in any game really, is that I try to I get too, I think maybe sometimes too creative for my own good. I try to go, well, what if they bring this? I can have that to counter that, and if they do this, I can have that and do this and that. And then if, you know, the scenario comes up, but they might not even have the thing that I think they have, or I never get the specific thing that I need, and I'm unprepared in other areas. So I'm trying to go kind of just as solid as possible with a few little techs in there, just to try to create the best solid deck that I can, and then we'll get to the let's go ahead and raise that bad boy up. We'll get to the side deck after that. So let's just, we'll get kind of the staples out of the way, right? 3 Shields, 3 Ambrosia, 3 Nectar of the Gods. Have to run 1 Artemis, so running 1 Artemis. 2 PTAs, 3 Drops of Leaf, because if you watched it all, last Elestriad Season 1, which again, it never happened, you forgot about it already. I could just never draw the cards I wanted to draw, so hopefully with Drops of Leaf, I can do that and draw the cards that I want to draw, or if not, have a card that allows me to draw the card I want to draw. Oh, this is a damaged one. Look at that. I pulled from my damaged ones, so I don't know if, can you see that? Can you see the little crease there? That's on me. That's my fault. 2 Tsunamis. So bring in Currybus. We got 2 Tadpuff, 3 Eddie. Really, we're trying to just generate as much, getting stuff onto the field that can cause as much problems as possible as early as possible. Okay, Dratagua, obviously for some of that water type recursion. Really, kind of the main things like in the deck, obviously are Currybus and Draking. Obviously Specteris, the 1 drop that just gets, you know, boosts based on things that are suppressed. We got Dense Fog for suppression. We'll get to the side deck in a second. And I got some other cards that we'll get there. So we got Currybus that you know, can disenchant and destroy. Now I could disenchant, you know, using Tadpuff to help get additional water type spirits on the board. I can, you know, disenchant from really that's kind of it. Disenchanting with the intent of kind of being the you know, the finishing maneuver there. I don't really want to. I don't know if I want to make. See, now I'm doing it now. I'm doing it right now. I'm overplaying scenarios in my head. if they have it. Kirby, hopefully the finisher, right? But we have really Draking and Drakid. Draking, obviously, when it destroys an Elestral, I can special cast that from the underworld with, water and lunar spirits. Let's just get to the side deck now. So this is where the editor is going to just do a stop, right? I'm hoping he's going to just cut here, and then you're going to see on the screen next, maybe like a slide transition is going to be my side deck. Let's find out if that's what happens. So this here is the side deck that I'm choosing to go with. We'll go 2 more Dense Fogs in case, the suppression's really necessary and I really need to negate effects at a much higher clip than I am, in the original deck. I got 2 Boom Bats, 2 Zaptors. This is pretty, easy here. But if I realize, same thing with the Earthquake and the Terralis, right? If I need to just bop some of his Elestrals real quick, that can do that. I got Nobby in case I need to, or in case I want to maybe lower some attack a little more, maybe to get, Draking able to do some stuff with it being a 7 attacker. Posthumous, because A, it's got the best Elestral name of all time, and B, because I can suppress stuff with Artemis and possibly, if I can set up a scenario with Tadpuss gets kind of early control, I can get Posthumous out there, then I can kind of really just take over a game quickly, if I see that might be required. I don't know if I'm going to be using Posthumous, but it's there as a big beater option in case I find myself needing one after game 1. Mudslide is a fun tech because I'm already going to have some Earth in there. If I don't need Earthquake, maybe I can go Mudslide, and then I can, especially with like Bow of Apollo, maybe get that out of there quickly. Just kind of maybe... this kind of, I guess, is more these 2 tech cards are kind of my, it's kind of crazy as I'm willing to get. But, Mudslide could be great if I'm noticing he's got, some runes that are out there, maybe a little too long that I can't get rid of for some reason. I can't target them or something like that. I can Mudslide him. And, Divine Blessing, same thing with Invoke Rune. Maybe he's casting his own Earthquake and I realize that's a problem for me. Maybe he's got just, maybe First, I don't know, just these, it's kind of a safety card, Divine Blessing, but really Mudslide's more of it could be maybe a nice surprise card that I could run. Just if I already have the water in there, I could just swap out 1 spirit, put an Earth Spirit in there instead of having to do 2. So those are my side deck options. I'm a little less confident in my side deck options. I got a bunch of staples, obviously, and then kind of just some possible tech plays. So that's kind of what I'm going with. I'm excited to get to play hopefully a little better. I don't want to. We'll put it this way: the amount that I have played off camera in between Elestriad seasons is directly correlated to the result that you're going to see. I haven't played the game yet, so I don't want to say either way. If I don't want to be too confident and then I, get my hiney whipped, that's PG for you. And I don't want to be underconfident, and then that might even leak into my own subconscious, and that'll affect me. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope I'm around for more than 1 week because this was fun. I've enjoyed building and I've enjoyed getting 2 cameras set up. So hopefully, guys, you see a little more of me, and hopefully this video does end with just an abrupt cut without any sort of indicator that it's going to be cutting because possibly.
Once again, Draking and Kuribis are here to play. I love the use of both Eddie and Drakid in the deck to get max value out of Rock and a Hard Place. So let's see how their strategies play out for them as the casters get ready for game number 1. So these casters getting ready to start in Clash number 1. Trishula is going to be expending to draw, it seems, which is not an unusual play. Usually early on in the game, if you don't have a normal cast that's really, really good to throw out turn 1, you're completely fine just expending to draw to get that early card advantage. Magnitude draws off the top of his deck, and let's see what he is able to bring out. Potentially trying to get his initial strategy online, trying to cast some early on Astrabbits to try and gain some card advantage. Here he's going to set a back row, and he's going to normal cast the Mistation. Very powerful turn 1 play, puts Trish on the back foot because a lot of the 5s can't deal with it, but here comes the Poison-Tipped Arrow. Poison-Tipped Arrow really does put Magnitude in a weird place because Mistation now has 0 attack points after this, which is going to be kind of awkward because here he has the choice: does he want to expend a spirit to then deal 1 spirit worth of damage to Trish. Is it worth getting that extra 1 damage early on? And Magnitude is deciding that it is worth to do it. So here he goes and attacks directly with the Mestation, and then Trish is going to pay out the PTA in the end phase to clear Magnitude's board. With a single back row, Trishula going to normal cast the Lumaroo. Is he going to cast it with a water to play around the Tsunami? And he is. Putting a water spirit under the Lumaroo is a really, really good idea here, specifically because it makes it so that your 5 attacker can't just lose to a Tsunami. If Magnitude had a Tsunami here, he'd be able to just activate it, turn that Lumaroo to defense, and then you have a sitting duck 2 defense Lumaroo on the field. Magnitude normal casting with a Lunar Spirit, the Drakid. Drakid is a card that is able to deal with an attack position Lumaroo, being able to swap its own attack with Lumaroo's attack, dropping Lumaroo down to a 2 and itself to a 5. However, the Gorgon's Gaze on Trishula's side is going to stop that play right in its tracks. Very, very powerful play from Trish that basically makes it so that Magnitude, even if he has the Rock in a Hard Place, can't get any value out of it because the Drakid is suppressed for the remainder of the turn. So here Trishula is going to be able to beat over this Drakid unless that back row is going to stop him, but it looks like he's expending to draw once again, maybe not having that many normal casts in his hand. Setting a back row is not that bad though. Setting up some defenses to protect your 1 Elestral is usually going to be pretty impactful for the remainder of the game. The Drakid goes to the Underworld as the turn is passed back to Magnitude and he draws for turn. Magnitude setting 1 more back row here, potentially more. Hopefully he has a normal cast, because if you don't have a normal cast at this stage of the game, you're really going to be put on the back foot. But Eddie is a very, very good one and also threatens the Rock in a Hard Place into Kuribis play here. So Eddie's going to turn the Lumaroo to defense, making it so that if there is something in that back row and that can't beat with this Eddie, then Magnitude is just going to be able to walk over it, which he does. Doesn't have the Rock in a Hard Place, sadly, but Trish goes with the Corvishine. Really powerful Elestral that lets him foretell the top 2 cards of his deck, and then draw a brand new card from the 2 cards he foretold, and then stack his deck in any way he would like. Genuinely going to be able to fix those top decks, fix that hand, and he sees a Resting on Your Laurels, not the greatest card you need in this position, considering there aren't that many spirits on Magnitude's side of the board, but there was also an Ambrosia, and knowing that you have an Ambrosia coming is a pretty good safety net in a position like this where you're kind of on the back foot. Setting 1 additional back row, Trishula passes back to Magnitude, and if Magnitude has a Rock in a Hard Place here, that is a really, really good position to be in. Drops of Leave being activated, a brand new tech that's being played more and more in this Drakking deck, just because it allows you to shuffle away some of the less useful 2-drops here. He could have ascended the Drakking over the Eddie, but choosing to shuffle it back in order to draw 2 new cards is not a bad play. And then we're going to go Ambrosia to heal up some spirits and put Magnitude way ahead on spirits in comparison to Trish. After this Ambrosia has resolved, we get a Rock and a Hard Place. We're going to be able to turn this Eddie into a Kuribis anyway. And then here we're going to be able to Rock in a Hard Place either over the Corvishine or over one of those back row. And keep in mind, the back row cannot be chained here, so the Shield of Achilles goes down. Here, Eddie's going to be able to ascend itself into Kuribis unless Trish has anything to stop that. And then the Kuribis might potentially even have a way to destroy some... oh, never mind. We got a Gorgon's Gaze on Trish's side of the field. Trish does have every single response he could possibly want. So this Eddie now not only can't attack, but also doesn't get a chance to ascend into a Kuribis from the deck or hand. Here, I assume Magnitude is just going to pass, and Trish draws for turn. Going to, ascend? No, we are re-enchanting this Corvishine, allowing him to, instead of foretelling 2, going to be able to foretell 3 in this situation. Definitely a good position for Trish. We see Galaxy double Ambrosia. That's a lot of safety nets, especially when Trish is this far down on spirits. We're going to cast the Ambrosia that we found off the top of the Corvishine, using a spirit of the Corvishine to heal 3, pumping Trish back up to 11 spirits to Magnitude's 13, puts him in a much more safe place to be here. There's a potential that he could have gone for that Galaxy, because Galaxy does deal with the Eddie, turning its attack back down to a 1, making it so that, you know, that Eddie is basically so easy to walk over with anything. But here, Trish just decides he's going to pass, because with that re-enchant, he didn't have to normal cast the Galaxy this turn because he couldn't, so he gets to just stack it to the top of his deck using the foretell effect in order to draw it next turn. Here, Magnitude going to expend to draw 1, setting an additional back row. This Eddie's still not able to deal with that Corvishine, so the Corvishine stays on the board, and Trishula more than likely draws that Galaxy. Is this an expend to draw? Is Trish just slow rolling? It's possible that Trishula is deciding that If Magnitude doesn't have a way to deal with this Corvishine, Trish can just kind of play it slow and gain as much card advantage as he could possibly want. But here comes a Specteris, an Elestral that looks like it has 4 attack, but if it battles something, it will suppress that opponent's Elestral and then pump its own attack back up to a 5, meaning that this Specteris is able to walk over the Corvishine, and then Eddie will likely get in for 1 point of damage. Not I don't know why Trish decided not to roll out that Galaxy. Maybe he chose to place the Ambro on the top of the deck rather than the Galaxy. Oh, it was the resting on your laurels. I assume he was baiting Magnitude into wanting to put more Elestrals on the field so he could then use the resting to regain the board position. Here, Galaxy deals with Eddie, and the resting on your laurels deals with the Specteris, making it so that Trish can just put Magnitude on the back foot and regain control of the field. But with this much back row, I don't know if this Galaxy's attack is going to connect. This Galaxy loses really hard to Gorgon's Gaze exactly. It doesn't lose to Tsunami at all. Shielding this wouldn't feel too great, but you probably still do it if you're Magnitude. Not too sure how many cards he has in hand. Looks like he has 2 or 3 here. Seems to have a couple. Let's see if he has an Elestral to drop here. He starts off his turn with an Ambrosia. Roll the animation editor. This Ambrosia going to be able to heal 3 spirits, putting back 2 Luna and a Leviathan, potentially letting Trish know that he might have another rock in a hard place, which genuinely, with this far ahead of a spirit count, doesn't sound like a bad idea for Magnitude. Here comes the Gloombat, not big enough to walk over this Galaxy. I guess Magnitude could always trade this Gloombat with the back row, but that leaves the Galaxy on Trish's board, and basically it looks like that's what he's going to be doing. But leaving this Galaxy up on Trish's board, I guess with 4 back row doesn't feel too bad, but you do really want to try to regain board presence. So this seems to be a pretty weak position for Magnitude here. Also, he doesn't seem to have any cards in hand, so I'm not too sure that he has any Elestrals to cast on the following turn. Shield of Achilles comes down on the Galaxy, putting it back into Trish's hand. Trish passing on an empty board is interesting, but with this 5 strategy, we've learned that you don't always need back row as long as you're running out a guy every single turn. Especially when Magnitude, expending to draw, seems to not have any guys to run out on his own field, isn't able to apply any pressure on Trish. So Trish having a guy come down every single turn means that he is the one in the driver's seat applying the pressure, and Magnitude really needs to hope to draw an Elestral, because if he doesn't draw a guy, he's unfortunately just not going to be able to put up any defenses to beat this Galaxy. Trishula passing with 6 cards in his hand, more than likely all going to be guys. Magnitude doesn't look too happy about this. Picks up his spirit deck. Is he going to expend to draw again? And there's an expend to draw again. He's just not drawing guys. It's interesting because his deck list had 18 Elestrals, which is genuinely a really good number. You would expect to draw Elestrals. Here, Trish, not even going to play another Elestral or anything, just going in for the attack with the Galaxy, and Magnitude going to have to use the Shield of Achilles, expending 2 more spirits, and finally dropping below the amount of spirits on Trishula's side of the field. Magnitude really can't catch a break here, needs to draw into an Elestral to start applying some pressure. Trishula just has infinite cards in his hand. And Magnitude setting a back row. Are we expending to draw again? There's no way. We found an Elestral! We found one! The Gloombat comes down and attacks directly for 1 point of damage. Honestly, this position isn't even that bad for Magnitude. As long as you constantly have a back row to deal with whatever Elestral Trishula runs out, it's entirely possible that you can just ride this Gloombat to victory and just keep poking face and winning the game that way. But Trishula having Ambrosia is definitely going to hinder that game plan for Magnitude. Going to be able to heal a Solar and 2 Water Spirits. Most likely, those Water Spirits to be able to play around the Tsunami if he chooses to run out another Galaxy, which he's going to do right here. So this Galaxy doesn't even lose to Poison Tipped Arrow. If you Poison Tipped Arrow this Galaxy, it remains on 5 attack and can still walk over the Gloombat, meaning that Magnitude would just be lowering his own spirit count by 2 without even being able to deal with this. But the Earthquake, the huge one of Earthquake, deals with the Gloombat, puts Magnitude once again on no Elestrals, and Trish gonna be able to swing direct for 1 point of damage, unless Magnitude wants to use a counter rune, but at that point, he'd just be burning himself for an extra spirit. Most counter runes that deal with this cost 2, so you would rather just take the 1 point of damage and hope to draw a guy that deals with this Galaxy. Eddie doesn't unfortunately do it. Eddie doesn't do it, and Drakid also doesn't deal with this Galaxy. Magnitude going to expend to draw again, dropping himself down to 2 spirits. If he doesn't have an Ambrosia and Trish runs out an Elestral next turn, he's just going to be able to normal a guy and go face. It seems like Magnitude concedes the game could not find an Elestral. That's absolutely insane. That's wild. I wonder if Magnitude's going to decide to add some more guys into his deck post side, because he's probably feeling fairly frustrated after drawing no Elestrals over the course of pretty much like 3 or 4 turns straight of expending to draw. That was definitely a really rough game for Magnitude. I think on Trish's side, most likely he's going to be siding in the Sorlets, maybe even the Boombats, because those are both cards that are able to deal with Draking fairly well. Sorlet turning Draking to defense, making it so that it's a 4 defense, and then walking over it with the Sorlet is pretty good. And Boombat's also able to deal with it fairly well, just because it's a normal cast 1-drop that's just able to deal with any Elestral that Magnitude might put up on his field. So going into the second clash, Magnitude starts his turn with a Nectar of the Gods. Drink up, Zeus, drink up. That's a good one. Nectar of the Gods putting more cards in Magnitude's hand means a much less chance of not having any Elestrals. Sets 3 back row, and we are going to be normal casting the Specteris turn 1. See, I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like Magnitude definitely could have taken a page out of Trish's book and gone for the expend to draw turn 1, gaining some big card advantage turn 1 rather than going for a normal cast of an Elestral that doesn't forward your game plan is not the best idea, and he gets punished for it. The Cryoblast dropping right here means that Trish is trading a 1-cost Spirit for a 1-cost Invoke rune to take out this Specteris for essentially free, and puts Trish in the driver's seat once again when he could have just not normal cast it and decided to gain one more, card for card advantage in his hand, potentially to have more guys to run out down the line. Lumaroo comes down on Trish's side of the field with a Solar Spirit this time. Interesting choice, not choosing to play around the Tsunami. Maybe he feels like Magnitude probably doesn't have it. And I assume we're going to be seeing Trish setting at least 1 back row and going face for 1 damage. Will Magnitude take it? He flips up a counter rune. Is it the Tsunami? It's the Shield of Achilles, putting the Lumaroo back in Trish's hand. Going to expend an additional Spirit on Magnitude's side in order to bounce that thing back. Put that thing back where it came from, or so help me. Magnitude draws for turn, runs out the Eddy. Not the greatest normal cast to play here when the opponent doesn't have any cards on his field, or doesn't have any monsters, Elestrals I should say, on his field to deal with. But Eddy going to be coming down, attempting to swing face for 1 damage is definitely going to be putting Magnitude in a decent position, but the problem is that Trishula has the Lumaroo, and the Lumaroo just walks over this thing, especially if Trishula enchants it with a water, which I would assume he would do here. If he enchants this Lumaroo with a water, he's going to be able to walk over this Eddy, and the Eddy, you won't be able to do a whole lot about it. Goes for the Solar. I guess Trish really not fearing the Tsunami here, really disrespecting Magnitude's back row. He would get punished pretty hard by a Tsunami here, not gonna lie. A Tsunami here. Oh, no Tsunami. Okay, so the Eddy goes down. Edward, my goat. And then we're going to be milling 3 with the effect of Lumaroo. Now, as much as that might sound like it's relevant, mill deck out is definitely not Trish's game plan. It's not his strategy. So the only thing that Trishula would really be hoping to mill there is putting more Drakings in the Underworld so that Magnitude can't cast them out from the deck. But Magnitude seems to be expending to draw, once again finding himself in the same kind of position he was in the first game. Maybe if he just held on to that Specteris in that first turn rather than running it out just to get Cryoblasted would have really helped him in the long run, but it seems like he's once again lacking Elestrals in his hand. Lumaroo attacks directly. Will we see a back row? Oh, seems like we're fumbling around with the back row. We're activating the Tsunami. The Tsunami finally comes out to play, and this is going to bite Trish in the butt if Magnitude does have an Elestral that has over 2 attack. Now, we've seen Magnitude struggle to draw Elestrals, but it seems like an Ambrosia going to be coming down. Does he have the Elestral to run out to walk over this Lumaroo? The real question is that back row on Trishula's side of the field real? Is it a bluff? If it's able to stop whatever attack is coming down on this Lumaroo, more than likely the Lumaroo going to attack will be able to deal with this. Drops of Leave going to let Magnitude shuffle away 2 cards from his hand, the Rock and a Hard Place and the Resting on Your Laurels, in order to attempt to draw 3 more cards. With 3 cards, the odds of seeing an Elestral are probably fairly high. Magnitude's most likely feeling slightly frustrated from the situation, just because having no Elestrals really is a really bad way to lose a game, and it seems like Magnitude's not very happy. Activates another Drops of Leave, shows Curibus, Rock in a Hard Place. Magnitude throws the cards into the Underworld. Those go back into the deck, buddy. And we're going to be shuffling those up and attempting to draw 3 more cards once again. And we find an Elestral, but unfortunately it's a Gloombat. It doesn't have enough attack to walk over this Lumaroo. We're trading the Gloombat with the Shield of Achilles from Trishula's side of the field, and it appears like Magnitude just passes on that. That turn was expensive. Those drops of lead, good card that can get you to the things that you need, but unfortunately, 2 cost is like pretty expensive to be digging for cards that really didn't seem to help Magnitude in this situation. Trishula turns the Lumaroo to attacks directly for 1 point of damage, really increasing the gap between these two caster spirit counts. 15 to 8 is not a really good position for Magnitude to be in. We see Water and Lunar to go for a Nectar of the Gods. We're drawing more cards. Can we find an Elestral? I feel like that's what we've been trying to find this entire game. Any Elestrals? Any Elestrals, Magnitude? Is that an Ambrosia I saw? That is an Ambrosia. We're going to be healing up a little bit of spirits, trying to close this gap between the spirit count for the 2 players. But once again, Magnitude has one goal, and there it is, the Spectaris. Unfortunately, this only trades with the Lumaroo. Spectaris would go up to a 5 attack if it attacks here, meaning that they will both be destroyed. And Trish having a hand of like 7 cards, you would assume there's more than likely an Elestral in that hand, ready to come down and swing direct for a little bit of damage. And there it is, the best one, the Bunny. The Astrabbit comes down in attack mode, which is a really, really good play on Trish's side here. I think with the big spirit count differential here, you can just afford to be aggressive with this Astrabbit and try to whittle down Magnitude spirit count as much as you can. So here, spirit count... So here his spirit count goes down to 6, and Magnitude draws for turn. That Astrabbit in attack looks like it's probably going to go down. However, with a back row backing it up, Trish is probably feeling pretty good. Nectar of the Gods being activated here, dropping Magnitude's spirit count to 4. Not a really good position. Do we have a guy to run out? Sets 2 back row and passes. No, guys. We can't draw a guy to save our life. We're re-enchanting this Astrabbit, gonna dig even deeper into the deck to try and get, I assume, some back row to protect this rabbit. With this big of a spirit differential, I really don't know that Magnitude will have the resources to power through some back row. Here we're swinging with the Astrabbit for 2, and instead of taking the 2 direct, we're paying 2 to put that Astrabbit back in the hand, dropping Magnitude's spirit count to 2. Let's see if he can drop an Elestral. Probably hoping to see some Ambrosia to some extent to try to heal back some of these spirits, because a 13 to 2 spirit differential is probably spelling the end of the game. Magnitude tosses his cards, seems to be very upset. He's like, where are my guys? Where are my Elestrals? They're not here. They don't exist. And with that, Magnitude is going to concede the game, and Trishula takes the match in a 2-0 dominant victory. Honestly, Trishula showing why 5s is still a really, really powerful deck, a powerful engine that you really have to respect when you're playing Elestrals. So congratulations to Trish. Good luck, Magnitude, in the losers bracket, and make sure you guys tune in every single day here on the Elestrals channel for more Elestriad action. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace!